While we are waiting these few minutes, for those of you that are on, go ahead and drop your location, where you guys are from, if you have any co-host properties now, or you're just getting started. Would love to hear a little bit about you guys as well. Right, perfect. Charlene from Milwaukee, you want to get started. Perfect. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Do you have any short-term rentals currently that you own? All right, so we'll give it just one more minute and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Got Philip Munoz from Atlanta, my brother. All right, perfect. LTRs, perfect. Yeah, absolutely. So Charlene, hopefully I can help you out here and get you started on the right foot. So looking forward to it. All right, just one more minute and then we'll get started. And as we're going through, like I said, as you're joining, go ahead and drop a where you're at, where you're located. Do you have any co-host properties now? Or are you just getting started? Would love to hear a little bit about you guys. All right, perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So I think everyone can see my screen okay. So first of all, let's see here. Taryn, awesome. Dallas, just getting started. Perfect. So hopefully I can help you and Charlene here. So let's go ahead and get started. So hey everyone, my name is Zach Munoz. I am super excited to share a little bit about just some tips and tricks to help you guys land your first co-host property. So I'm gonna give you guys a little step-by-step guide to help you guys get started in your journey into short-term rental. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started here. So just a little bit about me. My name is Zach Munoz again. I am a current short-term rental owner, a co-host, and also a savvy real estate agent focused in North Georgia and also the greater Atlanta area. As a co-host, so I am a co-owner of our business alongside my older brother Philip Munoz and sister-in-law Kate Munoz, who are also savvy real estate agents focused down in the Florida Panhandle. Between us of what we own and manage, we have 15 properties between us. Here is a little snapshot of our growing savvy team. We have just over 40 agents now across the US, focused in the major short-term rental markets. So if you have any interest in any, market across the US, just take a look here and grab their name and feel free to reach out to them. All right. So a little bit about what we're going to cover today. So today's agenda, it's really just providing you guys a blueprint or just a strategy to kind of help you guys get started to land your first co-host deal. So we're gonna, show you guys how to identify some target properties, how to find those contacts, effective ways to reach out, and then also separate yourself from those traditional property managers. And then at the end, we'll have some, Q&A. So why this matters or just why co-hosting in general. So I think co-hosting is a super fantastic way to break into the STR industry if you're not already. And ideally, you do want to get started. If you already have a property, just kind of get started on the right foot, right? So you kind of already understand the regulations of the markets. You understand the ins and outs of just short-term rentals in general, and then you kind of have that credibility whenever you're speaking with with owners, but you can definitely get started if you don't have any properties. So don't let that discourage you. It's just going to be a little bit harder to get started there. Um, Co-hosting is, in my opinion, it can be very lucrative and it's a great way to be able to scale your portfolio. So if you're looking to, add another property, you can save that co-host money and purchase another property, down the road. Or if you've been wanting to put in a pool at one of your current properties and you just don't have the funds to do it right now, co-hosting is a great way to, again, save that money and invest into your current properties, your designs, your amenities. And lastly, I think one of the most important things is if you're currently stuck in that W-2 and you've always had that dream of just one day stepping away, co-hosting can, open that door, provide that opportunity to do so, but you have to be willing to put in the work. It's a lot of work up front, but once you get going, it's smooth sailing from there. But at the end of the day, it's not all about the money, right? It's you really want to focus on your clients, focus on delivering that service to exceed their expectations. Um, their success is your success. It's your reputation on the line. So you want to do a great job for your clients. But after going through this little presentation here, have no doubt that co-hosting will be a game changer for some of you, and I look forward to hearing your guys' stories down the road. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So step one. So you want to first things first is you want to have a solid plan in place. You want to get started by picking a market that you are already comfortable with or know a lot about or already have your short-term rental currently in. Number two is building your team. So if you already own your SDR in the market, you're already, on the right foot there and kind of have your team already assembled, your cleaner, your handymans, your plumbers, and your HVAC. If you do not own currently in a market, then I recommend getting on Facebook, getting in the Facebook groups in the market and start asking around for the best cleaners and handymans in the area. Those are going to be your top two people that you're going to need for your team. Number three is define your services. So, what are you going to offer to your clients? Are you going to be a full service co-host, handling all the repairs, the maintenance, the uh, listing optimization, revenue management? So go ahead and write down what you plan to provide as part of your services, as part of your co-host package, and make sure you have that defined of what you want to offer your clients. Number four is make sure you have your technology stack nailed down. So you can obviously it's easier to seamlessly onboard those clients and get them going as soon as possible. So one of the top softwares that you want to have is a PMS, whether that's OwnerRez or Hospitable or Guesty. That's going to help you kind of keep track of all your properties as far as bookings and keeping everything in order. And then as far as pricing and messaging, pricing goes a long way from pricing management and then automating all of the messaging that are going out to clients as they're booking your property so you don't have to manually do that. And then lastly, if you already have a STR in the market, I would go ahead and recommend creating a one-page case study that showcases your year over year revenue growth, your occupancy rates, and I would also throw in some, awesome guest reviews that highlight maybe how awesome you were as a host, to be able to utilize that as well when you're having those conversations with owners. So step number two, so how to identify target property. So you want to go ahead and create a list of 10 to 15 properties that you feel are good targets to go after. The best way to find these properties is go into AirDNA and you want to filter by the review rating. So whenever I go into AirDNA, I look at properties that have review ratings of 4.7 or less. And I start looking at those properties and identifying a few that I want to go after. And then also Vacasa and Evolve. We all know the Vacasas and the Evolves. They're big box property managers that, just don't really put in the time and effort to maximize guest revenue, and also, in my opinion, don't really take care of the properties, as co-host would. And so the Vacasa and Evolve are great people to kind of poach from. And then you also want to look at market specific property managers within your market. So go to your market, find those property managers that are only focused in that market, and try to identify properties that way as well. Right. So step number three. So this is once you get your properties identified that you want to go after, next we need to find the addresses. We need to find who the owners are and the addresses. So one thing I'm going to show you here is utilizing the Airbnb inspect feature, which I think is a cool, quick way to find properties. But you can also utilize VRBO, and then also the property manager websites to pinpoint the property location. So let me show you real quick how to use the Airbnb inspect feature, which I think is pretty awesome. So let's say you have, hopefully you guys can see my screen okay, but let's just say you have a property on Airbnb that you identified that you want to go after. What we're going to do is we're going to, and as you know, within Airbnb, if you look at the map, it just gives a general idea of where the property is. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly the address. So it takes a lot of looking around. But this is a little bit quicker way to nail this down. So if you right click, go down to inspect, and at the top here, you see elements, console, sources, and network. So we're going to click on network here. Once you click on network, in this little search bar here, you're going to put in stays PDP sections. And after you type that in, just go ahead and hit the refresh button at the top here. And as you can see, it provides these four strings of text. So I would just click on the top text here, and then this opens up the coding. So just go ahead and click in here. And then we're going to do a Command F feature. So we want to find a certain word, and we're going to type in listing lat. So we want to find the latitude and longitude of this property location. So as you can see in the code here, it provides just that. The other web page that I want you guys to open up is latlong.net. So you're going to open up this page. You're going to go to Geographic Tools. And over here to the right, we're going to look at latitude and longitude to address. So let's go back over here to our code. And let's copy and paste it into the web page over here. And then click convert. Oh, I need to log in. Let's try this one more time. All right, so once you hit convert, it pops up the address of the property. So as you can see here, you have your address. So that's a cool, quick way to identify properties within Airbnb. But let me go back to the presentation. All right, and then once you get that address, the next thing you want to do, if you want to verify, I would utilize the the county tax assessor website. So just pop in that address and take a look at the maps there, make sure it lines up. Um, if the property is under an LLC, whenever you look at the tax assessor website, try searching the business name to get the registered agent's name or the address there. Some properties are very good about concealing that information. So sometimes you won't find a name or phone number or anything like that or address. So unfortunately, you're just gonna have to move on from that one. But once you get the address, what you want to do is you want to get a skip tracing software like Deal Machine, PropStream, or True People Search. We have utilized Deal Machine in the past, which has been very great for us. And we just pop in the address of the property and it gives us all the information of emails, phone numbers, um, and even other properties that the owner owns. And so that's a quick way to get phone numbers that you can just pick up the phone and start dialing. Obviously, this takes a little bit of time, research to find this information. So if you are limited on time, use a skip tracing service. You utilize Fiverr or Skip Trace Depot. So those are some services where you can generate a CSV file, put in the property addresses, and then just send it off to them. They'll do all the back end work to find the emails and phone numbers for you. All right. So step number four. So now it's time to, you got the phone numbers, you got the email addresses. So now it's time to start reaching out. In my opinion, these are the four best ways to make contact with an owner. Number one is cold calling. I think that's one of the top best ways is go ahead and just pick up the phone and call them. I know it's scary. I know it's tough. I remember my first phone calls that I made, my heart was absolutely trembling. But after a few phone calls, it gets easier and the conversation gets easier. So cold calling is my number one go-to. Number two is Bill Face method. So I'm not sure if you heard Bill Face speak, but he loves going to the property and getting out his phone and doing a selfie video right in front of the property. So it gives that personal aspect of it. They see your face, they see who you are, and they see their property in the background, which is definitely going to grab their attention. So I think those are my top two methods. Third is a Loom video. Get on Loom, go to the listing, the Airbnb listing, the Verbo listing, and create a Loom video, showcasing some things that you would do to improve their listing or how you could help. And obviously, it's going to show your face in that video as well, so they can, see who you are and what you have to offer. But that goes a long way, and you can send that Loom through a text, through an email, through a Facebook message. But at the end of the day, if you don't have any contact information, no phone numbers, no emails or anything like that. The last thing you can do is get on Facebook, try to find their profile, and do a Facebook outreach. I've done that plenty of times, but remember to add them as a friend first and then send the message. If you send it before you're added as a friend, it's just going to go to their spam folder and they're never going to see it. All right. So step number five. This is crafting your pitch. So how are you going to craft your pitch? And here is a basic structure to kind of help you develop that 30-second to 60-second, elevator pitch to grab the owner's attention and then just get that conversation started. So whenever, let's just say it's a cold call. You want to start with the quick intro of, hi, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. My name is Zach Munoz. I'm with XYZ company, and I came across your beautiful property at 123 Lake Road and noticed that you are using Vacasa as your property manager. I've spoke with several other owners in the area and who also utilize Vacasa, and they mentioned, they just don't feel that their property was being properly maintained or cared for. And so as a co-host, that's one of my top priorities is to ensure that we're providing our owners with a peace of mind. So I'm curious, how has your experience been with Vacasa? And just kind of keep it open-ended when you ask that question. And 9 times out of 10, that's going to get them talking. And, it's just a great opener um, to get that conversation started. But you want to keep in mind that this is a cold call. So, those conversations don't typically last too long. But the goal is to pique their interest, and you want to go ahead and try to get that next call scheduled for a deeper dive. So let's just say you had the call for a little bit, maybe 10 minutes or so. The next thing you want to do is deliver that call to action. So, Mrs. Smith, I appreciate I know my call was unexpected, but I want to thank you so much for the 10-minute overview that you provided. I'd love to schedule a follow-up call for a little deeper dive to talk a little bit about your XYZ problems and show you how, we can help. I'm open this Friday from 10 to 12. Does this work for you? And you want to go ahead and provide them a time and get that call scheduled while you're talking to them. If you hang up without getting that call scheduled, most likely it's the relationship, it's going to die from there. They're never going to reach back out to you. So get that next call scheduled while you're talking to them on the phone. And then lastly, it's just build credibility. Have that case study ready for whenever an owner asks of what you've done previously. All right. Step number six. So this is, just sealing the deal, right? You got had your conversation with the clients. They are ready to sign, but you need to make sure you have your contracts and invoicing ready to go. So every client needs a contract. It's going to define your services, your fees, and you also want to have those clear terms and responsibilities, and also termination terms as well. So, as far as a recommendation, I recommend reaching out to a real estate attorney to either help you draft it or craft a template that you already found. But make sure you contact someone that can help with maybe some compliance aspects from that. As far as invoicing, I try to be as transparent with your invoicing, right? It's money that's involved. So try to be as transparent as possible with your monthly breakdowns. And as far as your bookings or your reservations, make sure you're letting your owner know where these reservations came from, whether it's Airbnb, direct booking, Verbo, booking.com. You want to have the dates of the reservation, the gross rents, your commissions, cleaning fees, and also any of your miscellaneous expenses like maybe any repairs, purchases from Amazon um, or Walmart or something like that. And once you get that all finalized, your template, you have everything that you need. I utilize a software like QuickBooks to just quickly send out the invoices. The owner gets it, and they could quickly pay through just a link to their text message or an email. So, lastly, some key takeaways. So I would say don't overthink it, right? It sounds like a lot up front, but don't spin your wheels. Just go ahead and get started and learn as you go. The last thing you want to do is have analysis paralysis and that fear kick in and you just never get going. I've seen that all the time, that happening. But the best way is just to jump right in and get going to kind of help your land your first co-host client, don't be afraid to go ahead and offer free services for the first 30, 60, 90 days to kind of showcase your value, especially for your very first one, or if you don't even have own your own property at all. So, you know, don't let that have that in the back of your mind to maybe offer that to secure that first co-host deal. The most important thing that you can do is build your personal brand through just consistent networking, testimonials, and online presence. So you found the market that you're going to be in, go join all of the Facebook groups and start getting involved. Make posts, comment on other people's posts. You want to be that person of interest within that market. You want to see your name all over the place, and that's how people get to see you, get to know you, and that's how you ultimately start that waterfall effect, right? Once you get that first co-host deal, the other ones are so much easier to land. The hardest one is your first one. So make your presence known, build your personal brand, and that's going to go so far for you guys. The fourth thing is go the extra mile, right? You always want to find ways to help your owners improve their property. Whether that's a design aspect or adding amenities, as you guys know, short-term rentals right now, it's you got to set yourself apart from all of the competition. So as you're taking a look in your market, think of ideas that other properties don't have and provide those ideas to your owners. They're going to absolutely love that you're going the extra mile and showcasing not only your knowledge of short-term rentals, but just being there willing to help and grow their gross revenue for them. And then lastly, it's learn to automate once you get started. So after you get going, you have a good understanding of how co-hosting works. Start trying to find tools to help automate and make your life easier. So, mentioned messaging. So have those messagings software. So maybe when you're in bed at 1 a.m. and a guest reaches out, you have a messaging software that automatically responds to that message while you're sleeping and you're not missing, something super important while you're asleep. So just things like that to help automate the business. And then also once you get to a point where you have five, six properties, I would consider adding a VA to help with marketing and maybe some guest communication as well. But those are some of the key takeaways there. And I believe I pretty much flew through that. So if you guys have any questions, I'll be looking at the chat right now. So let's see if I missed anything. Uh, all right, let me go to the top. Where would you suggest someone just starting out? Where would you suggest someone just starting out to start not having a property? Um, so I would start out first, like I said, find that location that you want to be in, somewhere that you feel very comfortable with, and I would start putting together. Once I identified my properties, I would have some type of uh, case study that shows, here's where your property is at now. This is things I see that could be improved, and then, build out a presentation of where you would take that property. Whether it's, design and or amenities, this will get you to XYZ. And so those are some of the type of things that I would do if I did not have my any type of properties or short-term rentals of how I would get started. How do you find a market if your market isn't short-term rental friendly? How do you find a market? Um, if your market is not short-term rental friendly, I mean, you, I would focus on the properties that are, already up and running, right? They're already established within that market. They already have the licenses or whatever. They already met the regulations. So these properties are already up and running. So go and find those properties and start reaching out to them that are established and within that market. What should you charge being new? How should you scale. As far as charging, I think it really depends on the property size. I think the smaller properties, I would try to get anywhere from 18 to 20%, but all markets are different, right? As far as what you can charge commission wise. Um, the markets that we are in, for the smaller ones, we typically stay around the 20%. The larger properties, we are willing to negotiate a little bit from a commission standpoint, and we'll drop down to 16, 18% for larger properties. But keep in mind, those smaller properties are just as much work as the larger properties. Um, so keep that in mind as well. So once you get going and understand the business of co-hosting, um, start looking at those bigger properties because it's just the same amount of work as a smaller one. Um, let's see. Do you work personally helping individuals get started? I do not actually help, individuals get started, but I am willing to, if you want to reach out to me, send me a DM. If you have any questions, I'd be willing to help answer some questions. I can also provide a template for invoicing and also a template for your contract. So um, if you guys are interested in those, feel free to reach out, send me a DM, and I could provide you some templates to go ahead and work off of and get you guys started there. But no, I do not help individuals get started, unfortunately. Um, all right, any other questions? Hopefully that was helpful for you guys. And you guys learn something. But it's all about just getting started and not being afraid to dive right in and reach out to those owners. Um, and lastly, I will say this, since I am not personally helping out with getting people started, I do have someone, Joe Roney, that is excellent on onboarding some students and getting them started within co-hosting. So if you guys are interested in something like that, I would reach out to Joe Roney, who is also a savvy real estate agent focused down in the Florida Panhandle as well. He's a great resource. He's one of the main guys that got myself and my family started within co-hosting. So you can also go check out his podcast, The Co-Host Coach, and he's got some great information. Another person I would follow is Austin Spitzberger. He's another close friend of mine within the co-host business, and he's has a podcast as well to help you guys get started. Great. All right. Any other questions? All right. So lastly, Um, another way you guys can reach out, you can scan this QR code here. So if you guys do want to have any follow-up questions, please set up some time with me, send me a DM. I would love to connect and can do anything I can to help you guys get started. So I look forward to connecting with you guys. And I will stay up for just a few more minutes, but I think that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I appreciate it.